At the end of this video, I'm going to show you how you can finally get over and overcome and overpower sexual temptation, especially in 2024. So it is no news that sexual temptation is one of the things that a lot of us currently deal with and hardly really talk about. There are tons of ways that you can be tempted. Are we talking about ads, reality TV, movies, Netflix? It is everywhere. You can't run away from it. Obviously, we have hookup culture, which has become the norm, and sex is practically depicted as love now. And so it is pretty important that we talk about these things. We talk about how we can really overcome them. We can't pretend that these things don't exist. If you're watching this video and you're like, I can't relate, me, sexual temptation, that's not me. I've dealt with that. I'm super mature. Well, I'm guessing that you probably know someone that this is useful to, or you have a family member, a cousin, a brother, a sister that this could help. And sexuality is part of God's design, okay? God created us purposely and with intention as sexual beings. It wasn't something that God created as a part of us and then thought to himself, oh my goodness, what have I done? I should have waited till they made heaven. No, God literally made this a part of us for good reason. However, it's very important to note that God created this to be in a controlled environment, to be within the confines of a controlled space, the confines of a husband and wife. Songs of Solomon is a book in the Bible that shows the beauty of intimacy between a couple. And so it is not something to shy away from because this is a part of us. We are not immune to sexual temptation. Even though God created this to be within the confines of a controlled space, within that controlled space, you could still have sexual struggles. You could still have sexual desires that, you are not proud of. One of the things that is important to note is that God will never tempt you. We see this in James. We are tempted by our desires. It goes to show the fact that if you come across something, if you come across an experience and you find yourself almost unable to control how you respond to it, it is just a product of your desires. This might be shocking to a lot of people, but it is what it is. God wouldn't send you a nude picture to tempt you. God wouldn't send you something inappropriate just to shake your faith and to see how you would respond to it. And I believe that this is an eye-opener. This just goes to show that there are times you still have struggles, there are times you still have strongholds that you feel you might have overcome, but the temptation is a way to let you know that, hey, you still need to deal with this part of you. God has already given us a perfect spirit, but our mind is constantly being renewed, and so that's why you still face those struggles from time to time. It's just a way to remember that whenever you have those struggles, or whenever you see that you still have those desires that you're not proud of, you can trust in God's help to help you overcome them. So we're going to be talking about 4 ways that you can overcome sexual temptation. So the first one, okay, is to remember that there is always a way of escape. You would never be in such a compromising situation or in such a space that you cannot get out of. I have heard people tell me about situations that they got into. For example, some guys have mentioned that they have been in spaces where a naked girl literally walked into the room and tempted them. Took a lot of willpower for them not to go ahead. The first thing that you have to keep in mind is that no matter how bad a situation is, no matter how overwhelming a temptation is, you have the capacity to say no. You have the capacity not to yield to the temptation. When you realize this, it changes the perspective. It makes you understand that you're not helpless. You're not helpless under any form of temptation. And sometimes I know this is, easier to say like, oh, I have the control, I have the power, when you're like badly tempted. Like, God, I know you've given me the capacity to do this, to handle this, to say no to this. But even though I don't feel that in my flesh right now, I want you to help me be conscious of that. Okay, so remember first of all that you have the capacity to say no to it, and that is very important in helping your mentality and your attitude towards the temptation. Now the second thing is very important, And I have to emphasize this because a lot of us fall prey to this. And it is stop playing the I can handle it game. 3 key places that the Bible talks about how we should run away from youthful lust. Flee youthful lust. Abstain from every appearance of evil. Flee sexual immorality. God has already given us instructions on what to do about such situations. The trend that you can see in these scriptures is the fact that you should not wait until you are in a situation before you run away from it. Okay, you should not try to see whether you can handle it like most people do. You know that somebody is attracted to you, okay, and you decide to go and watch a movie with the person alone. There is a very high chance that hands will start flying. So why do you want to take that chance when you already know there's a possibility? In your mind, I know you might be thinking, oh, this is just a harmless visit. We're just going to watch a movie, okay, and everybody's going to like be mature and civil. Unfortunately, that's not how it goes most times. So when you already know this, why put yourself in such situations? Why? One thing that is very important to note also in one of the scriptures is the Bible says, abstain from every appearance. It doesn't need to be 100% clear to you that this thing is going to cause me to sin. There is a 20% chance that I'm going to do this if I go there. So I would rather not. It shouldn't be something that has to be 100% clear that this is going to harm you before you avoid it. So this could be things like staying away from areas of weaknesses, staying away from unsafe spaces. It could be people that you follow on social media that always post sexually suggestive stuff online. Okay, some of these people could also be giving you like financial advice, but they're also posting things that are causing you to sin. Some people that post these things, you have to understand that sometimes that might not be their intention. You want to be sincere with yourself. How do you perceive what this person is posting? Does it cause you to potentially fall into sin? Okay, does it cause you to become lustful? What should you do? You shouldn't follow them. Okay, don't give yourself excuses and be like, oh, the person also posts inspirational stuff and financial stuff, and so I can follow them because there's harmless stuff that they post, and so I'll just overlook the other things. That's a dangerous thing you're doing to yourself. The third thing to note is that sometimes you will fall. You should learn from it. It shouldn't be something that becomes your identity. And one of the ways not to make it your identity is that when you fall, don't wallow in guilt and in feeling bad. It is okay to feel bad for a while. Okay, it is okay to have a check on your conscience that, hey, what you did, you shouldn't be doing it, because that is God speaking to you. But don't now make that your entire identity and like, oh my goodness, I feel so bad, I can't even talk to anybody, this, that. Run back to God, receive God's help. Don't fall into the trap of staying in guilt. And some people literally, for example, run away from church, run away from their friends, okay, run away from people that they possibly are typically accountable to whenever they make mistakes. When you run, you are most likely going to stay stuck in a rut, and you just continue the cycle of repeating that same event again and again. Okay, because you already feel, I did it yesterday, I might as well try it again tomorrow and try it again the day after that. I mean, you can as well extend the feeling bad for a whole week and keep doing whatever you're doing. So what you want to do when you fall is not to run. The fourth most important thing I want to say about this is that the Bible says that the idle hand is the devil's workshop. And what this implies is that when you are idle, there's a higher chance of you falling into sin, falling into temptation. Identify whatever God has called you to do, whatever your purpose is in this world, and try to focus on it. One of the examples that come to mind when thinking about this is David's story. David was supposed to go to war, and he pretty much stayed back when the rest of the army went to war. He was on his balcony or wherever it was, and he saw Bathsheba taking a bath, and obviously he fell into sin. And it wasn't just the sin of having sex and committing adultery. He also went the extra mile to make sure that Bathsheba's husband was killed. Like, it was literally a ripple effect of just not being where it was supposed to be. So you want to make sure, and you want to not be idle, because most times when we are idle, when we are spending more time doing things that, you know, take our focus away from God, that's when we find ourselves being tempted and potentially falling. What I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to bring out of this is try to focus on your purpose. So the fact that you're actually focusing on your purpose doesn't necessarily mean that you would not be tempted, but there's a higher chance that you would be more discerning of a temptation that's coming your way, and you would kind of be prepared for it. And you know, there's just a higher chance of falling into temptation when you're idle versus when you're not, and leave less room for temptation to corner you or to, you know, catch you unawares. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned from it. Share this video with someone that you think might need it, and those that think they don't. I will see you in my next video. Bye.